stories unless it's so. Yeah, let's just see how it goes.
All right.
It's all it's all a learning experiment or game. So figure
Yeah.
it out as it goes. And how are you doing? So tell me about the move.
Oh, I needed a more my my girlfriend, future fiance has moved in and my son's down for the summer and I needed a more where I was at was very single guy oriented. Which was fine, which was interesting. I never really took advantage of it, but I just having the opportunity made me feel good. That because I just moved here. Yeah, I just moved to Dallas where, a year ago. In Oklahoma, that opportunity was rare. Uh, and it just felt like and this is where being a product of your environment is so huge. I mean, I tried for the last 2 years to create like my mastermind of my business kind of business mastermind, um, my my top five guys to hang around with, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then just be able to have quality women around.
Yeah.
And where I was at back in Oklahoma, it just wasn't happening. Wasn't happening. Wasn't happening. I don't want to bash my home state too much, but it's just everything that I was trying to do for 2 or 3 years has just taken off like gangbusters down
It's
here.
amazing.
And it's just and I've always wondered, I don't want to I'm so far from where I want to be. I don't want to sound like I'm tooting my horn or something, but it's like I'm doing things that I've always wanted to do, even though they're in their infancy, that just were never going to happen up there. And it's the environment,
It
it,
is.
it
It absolutely is. And it's what holds you back. Call it your roots. My roots are in this town. Roots are holding you back. It's the same guys you hang out with. It's doing the same thing with the same people, the same way, expecting different results. It doesn't happen. You have to get up and move. And another Texan, Cody Sanchez, talks about this quite a bit about getting up and moving to be able to create the life you want to create. And it's expecting what you said is just surrounding yourself with the people you want to be around that are aligned with what you want to create, whether it's business, fitness, mindset. And for my roots, if I hung around with my parents all the time, I'd just be a negative, limited thinking individual. And that's what I came from. I came from two parents that were always criticizing anybody that was in their life and all the people that wronged them. I can't tell you how often I have to listen to my mom repeat stories about different
yeah.
things that happen in her life, and she still has the emotion. And I call her out on it. I'm like, you're only hurting yourself. You have to move on. You have to forgive. It's either it's an experience, it's a win, or it's a lesson. Would you learn it if it
Yeah.
doesn't happen? So I
I
think
have
that's
two.
amazing. I think it takes a lot of courage to get up and leave to pursue what you want to pursue.
That makes me think of two things. One of them more than the other. And I've heard it said, and I talk a lot about theory. I'm not a professional, but when you see things happening over and over and over, patterns. So everything about what my approach and theory, it's all based on patterns of behavior. When you pay close attention to see if that pattern repeats, you're on to something.
Yes.
Um, well, they say that our brains are at least 70% negative.
To keep us safe.
To keep us safe. Exactly. To keep us safe because no is safe. Yes is risky. Anything new, anything different feels risky. Whether it's good or not, that's new, that's different. No. Just in everybody's mind, there's a 70% chance that the reaction is going to be no to something, if you present a new idea to someone. And the only reason the only way to hit the 30 is if they've had the same idea at some point. That's the only time you'll get a yes. So your parents and my friends and family, it's perfectly naturally human.
It is. It's
Uh,
like it's we're cavemen on the Serengeti, and I'm just picturing Croods. Have you ever seen the
oh
movie?
yeah, I think about it all the time. They lived
That's
in
it.
that cave. They lived in that
Yes.
cave.
No, no,
Uh,
no. It's the dad keeping them safe. And then that new kid comes who's experimented. He's got fire. He's got all these cool new things and leads
Ideas. Yeah,
to a
that was
better
yeah,
life.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
calculated risk. And it's the same difference between a dad and a mom. A mom nurtures and keeps their kids safe, while the dad's like sitting back at the park. And I love watching this at parks. When my kids were younger, I would go to parks because I just see the whole world as a social experiment, even with my own kids.
yeah,
And everything's pattern recognition, like you said. So I'd sit back and watch. And the dads are like throwing the kids like on the swing, and the kids are like, yeah. And then the
yeah,
moms are there like, Johnny, Johnny, careful. That's too high. Be careful. Be careful. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. And the dads are sitting back socializing, watching their kids. Oh, they fell. They hear like a whimper. They don't rush over. They check. Is the kid okay? It's the walk it off mentality. And
yeah,
and dads promote risk taking. Dads are the ones that help promote and support kids to be able to achieve their goals.
yeah,
And it's taking calculated risk, right? And you don't know unless you try. And every time you don't succeed, it's what worked and what didn't work, which is a great segue to what we're talking about tonight, which is don't take the bait and get sucked into what your ex or your kid's mom is saying to you. Because I get, and when we're talking about or thinking about what to talk about tonight, there are so many conversations I have with other dads where they show me the text messages they're having with their kid's mom. And
yeah,
we've talked about not getting sucked into that conversation. And it's fresh. They're doing this live and they're showing me screen captures. I'm like, stop, like, just stop.
stop.
This isn't going anywhere. This is the exact same thing you showed me last week and the week before.
Yeah, yeah.
Why? Like, where's this conversation going?
Right.
Is it about parenting? Is it about your kid? Then why are you having the conversation?
It's the same thing. I see it too, when guys are struggling in their relationship, it's when I'm like, Don't get in a word battle with a woman. Like you're going to lose. This is what they do. They speak they women speak so 7 times more words in a day than we speak. And and they are geared to use words through manipulation, through emotion to get their way. And you can go through the text message and it's like, you're so easily triggered and manipulated. She's doing this. You sound weak. You can't win a word battle. They're better than you. Just don't do it. This is the opposite of leadership. She's leading the entire conversation, and you're so worried about defending yourself, or you're so worried about outthinking her, outmaneuvering her. You're not going to outmaneuver her. What you're trying to do is get in the ring with a professional boxer, you know,
Yeah.
because you've been training for 6 months. Like you're not going to outmaneuver in these text messages and I tell guys all the time, men know this. Actions speak louder than words. Stop stop the talking and start the acting. Just boom. And it changes the dynamic. It completely takes the power out of her hands and puts you in complete control of everything. And yeah, I don't know, so don't take the bait. Yeah,
And that's what you just said is exactly that recurring message. And it's the guys that want, and I'll share a specific example because I'm really interested in hearing what you'd say to someone in this space. Um, Guys want that immediate um, return or reaction, and they don't understand that they have to prove themselves through their actions, and it's not going to be immediate. It's not telling her, "Well, I do this, and I'm that, and I've done this, and this is what I'm going to do." You just have to show them because it means nothing to them. And after a certain point in life, women see enough of this shit where they realize you're just like every other guy.
yeah,
What makes you different? So there's this guy. He's trying to win back his ex-wife and he's telling her he's prying into her life about who she's dating,
that's all secure. Yeah.
which is
Sorry.
again none of
Go
his
ahead.
business and shouldn't be. Like, guys, that don't it's none of your business who she's dating, what she's doing. If it's not with your kid, it just doesn't matter unless it's somebody who may pose a threat and is a bad
Yeah.
influence and she's doing drugs and other illicit activities. But he's trying to tell her that this guy's no good, which is going to do the exact opposite, I
Right.
think, and is trying to tell her how he's changed and he's better and keeps going. And this is the repetitive conversation in the text messages. And so yeah, and a guy in that situation, because I know there's so many other guys that are going to hear this and would benefit. What
There's
do you recommend?
nothing. There's nothing. There's no words other than like, hey, I just hit the lottery that's going to make her change her behavior. There's nothing you can see across there. You know, it is there's nothing you could, I mean, you think about it, like uh, double your income, pack on 10 pounds of muscle. She's not going to care about that. Add 2 inches to your dick,
I was just going to say, yeah, but
like
that makes a difference.
buy a new car, uh, like buy a new house. Even if you went and did everything she ever complained about, she's already got this whole new life going on. Like, so there's absolutely nothing that you can send across in a text message that's going to curve her direction completely. You know, you failed this woman for years. Now you're going to send some,
And
okay,
that's the message I got back from my ex-wife was me trying to prove myself. And the message I got back was a shrug shoulders and said, too little, too late.
right. Yeah,
It,
they checked out.
yeah,
Yeah, they've, and that happen, it happens to guys all the time. But this is actually my favorite area. Breakups,
that's
my shit. Like
exactly why I wanted to get your opinion on this because
breakups is
so
my
many guys.
breakups is my shit. It's my jam. But it depends on the type of breakup. Like, um,
Okay, so here's another pattern. Um, Same similar situations. I'm just trying to remember different people I've worked with of from their perspective, they think that they're the woman was manipulative. She's narcissistic. He's a good man. He's done everything, and because they've never put themselves in the other person's shoes, and they want to get her back, but they're constantly criticizing her or saying negative things about her. For me, I'm trying to battle in my
yeah,
mind, like, what's the appeal? Like, why do you want to get back? And so this is the pattern. They want to go back. They are constantly saying negative things about her and how unhappy they were, and they want to be able to just win her back. And I'm
they don't want her
not
back.
sure if it's some sort of element of failure and they want to prove to
No,
themselves.
they don't want her. They don't want her back. They want this new emptiness and loneliness to go away. So they think the quickest remedy is to get her back. Because, she's, even though she's sent signals for 12 or 24 months, hey, things aren't going well. Dude didn't take any of it serious. So, and people don't move until they feel emotion anyway. So that's normal. Doesn't take it serious because she's just talking. Well, then she leaves, and in the wave of emotion, emptiness, loneliness, void, and then they're like, "Oh shit, what is this? This is she's gone." It feels like losing your leg or something, probably. Like,
Yeah.
I need my leg back. It's getting that's the thought. It's not that, oh God, I need her so bad. No, it's like, what am I going to put in this new void? And so the first thing I do when I start working with these guys is like, let's break this woman down first. Like, let's break down, not really hurt. Let's see if she was even good for you.
Okay.
She's one of billions. Okay. You're starting over. You don't think you're starting over, but you're starting over. She's probably harder to get than a new one.
Yes.
But she's
Yeah.
already seen all of your scar, she knows your dirty laundry. She's seen, you know, she knows all your tricks. There is no secrecy. There is no allure. There is no new drama. There is no mystery. All of the fun stuff you can use to get a new one, you can't do that with her. It is usually easier to get a new one. It's just that their minds is so stuck in the way it's been. Um, so yeah, the
So,
first thing I do is I have an exercise. It's called her
okay.
alter ego, where I have to tell the guys all the time, don't let what you want get in the way of what you need.
Okay.
And most men have no idea what they actually need. They're just so busy chasing ass and titties and sex.
Yeah.
What does your heart need to thrive? Not just kind of survive. What do you need from a woman's energy to, you know, magnify and amplify your own energy? Most women are holding back most guys because they're just in it for what they can get. That's why, as soon as you lose your job, they're out because they were only in it for what they could get anyway. They weren't ever in it for you. And the whole thing is just a freaking mess. So I always start with, what do you actually need from a woman? And then we get into it and go, we'll build a profile of a woman that fits you as a man, your individual needs. And we look at it and go, does your ex hit? How many of these attributes does your ex really even hit? And man, there's so many times when guys call me thinking they want their ex, and then we get started and they're just like, holy shit, I have no interest in that woman.
That's an that's an amazing exercise, and I didn't even realize I had done that. And until you do that, so what happened was somebody I worked with in my job at the time had pulled me aside, and he had gone through a divorce. He's a few years older than me. Really, we had a really great working relationship for the work we did and the projects we worked on. And this is what he told me. He's like, basically, with their not as directly, but that's done. She's not good for you. You need to figure out what you want, and had me do that, like define what I want in a perfect partner. And as I did that, realizing all the things where my needs were not being met, and
Right.
and that was the first time I think it turned my brain into, wait a minute, instead of just hearing where I wasn't good enough and where I failed there, I was able to start looking at it of, wait a minute, I wasn't getting my needs met. I was asking for these things and communicating to it. And this is where we'll get into attachment theory today, but depending on attachment styles, relationships go in different directions. But that gave me that template of what I want, what I need. But I didn't even know I needed, I guess I did, but not, it wasn't clear to me that time. I wasn't self aware enough. I hadn't grown. So what do you say to other guys? Because most of them don't know what they need. I'm sure that just gets a
Well,
lot of
okay, so
statements.
so we're so simple. It's like we're so damn simple. When we're just alone and happy and in our hobbies, it doesn't take much to keep us happy. Then
No,
when you bring another woman in who is also happy, you're just, oh, this feels even better. I've got another happy person. But we are programmed to provide,
yes,
right? So and if you're a good man, you provide a lot. So then you think that, well, I need to provide in order to keep her happy. And and she just reinforces that idea over and over and over and over. If I'm not happy, you're not providing. If I'm not happy, you're not providing. And this is the dynamic that we think is supposed to be. I provide, she's happy. I provide, she's happy. I provide, she's happy. Then I'm happy, and then we're happy, and everything's good. But at no point it's just like, who gives a fuck about happy? We're supposed to be successful. We're
okay,
supposed to be building badass shit. We're supposed to be building an amazing life. Success is our goal, not happiness. Like, one of the things I love to talk when I talk about this is when I was an amateur boxer, I would go in the ring, I would be sparring, and let's say I'm trying to, one of my favorite things is to slip across and bring a hook. And I will go in there and perfect that. You would time that. You'd set your guy up so that you can see the cross coming. Then you do the slip and you come with the hook. I wasn't happy. Like that wasn't fun. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I didn't feel good. I mean, the success of
hmm,
of pulling off that technique made me happy, but I was chasing success. I wasn't chasing this fleeting happy moment where
okay.
it's not the same feeling that you get when you're just spending time with a woman, I guess, who's just
Right. And for probably a lot of guys watching this, they think when most people hear success, they think about wealth and job promotions. I that's a type of success, but it's how you define it. What does success look like? And you said the activities, the adventures, the experiences you're going together, those the feelings, what you're seeking, right? What is it that you're aligned to do in life? Starting with your beliefs and your values, but what does that look like? Is it building a home? Is it raising kids so that they're a certain way, spending so much time together, seeking out different types of activities, experiences, adventures, connections, supporting each other and taking turns supporting each other in your career or around the house or with the kids? It's I think those are really big conversations that people lack at the beginning and
oh,
not
absolutely.
huge. Like, okay, you
So
want to have kids, I want to have kids, but what type of parent are you? Like, what does that look like and how you want to raise kids? And yeah, over
there's
to
so much bullshit that could be avoided if people would just, and you say, well, you need to communicate. Like that's some hard thing. Just ask a question. Like so many people, you just assume, they just assume you meant X when you said Y. That's what you meant. It's like, no, if you're confused, just ask. Just ask. Just ask the question. And it's such a conundrum kind of thing where um
and
yeah.
it comes back to even in parenting, even after the fact. So we always know what to do in retrospect. And so now you missed out on that conversation. The marriage or relationship didn't go the way it could have. Everyone hoped it would be. Now you're separated and you've got kids where you have to interact all the time. And this, I think, applies the same way. Your relationship's different. It's how are we going to manage this relationship so that we can communicate about the kids? I think what you shared applies in every domain. What does this look like? Do we check in once a week for 30 minutes? I'm only going to respond to you. And this is establishing boundaries where you're not
Yeah.
taking that bait of where you're a deadbeat dad or you never, Johnny's lunch spilled in his bag when he came back home today. And that always happens. Like, it's not always like, okay, whatever her name is, like maybe it happened twice. I'm sorry for that, but I'll try to make sure that doesn't happen. And by the way, whenever you talk to me or call me names, I'm not going to respond to your texts or
Right. Yeah.
ignore that aspect and just focus on the business of raising your kids together. It's business. Look at it only that way.
Yeah.
Same principles.
Yeah. One of the boundaries that I have is the F word. And that is a boundary that I
Hmm.
use everywhere in life. Like when there's a couple, there's there's two key words that I look for when I'm having a conversation with anybody. The word I and the F word. And the word, those two words kind of tell you where their mind is at. The more someone says I, me, I, me, me, they don't give a shit about you. Like they are so self-centered and
Yeah.
self-focused. And it could be where they're at in their life if they're having a difficult time. But if it's all the time, they're just I, then that's just who they are, and you're never going to get much value from that person. And then the other one's the F word. It's if someone says the F word directly to me, male or female, the conversation's over. The
Yeah, if
conversation.
someone's I as an adjective, I don't mind. I drop F bombs all the time, but
Oh yeah, yeah,
I won't throw it at someone.
yeah,
I don't I won't use the see you next Tuesday word unless
yeah,
they're truly that, and that's an exception. I think there's
yeah,
maybe two people I can think of that deserve that term, and there's another one. I can't remember the other one. But yeah, it's breaking them out of that. And even the I statements, it's a hard one, but understanding that their behaviors and actions are only hurting themselves. They say
yeah,
they want this, but nothing they're doing is going to actually get them there because all their behavior is self-harming. It's the it's the projecting, it's the pointing fingers, it's the blame shifting. And even if there is blame to be shared, you need to stop pointing fingers and looking at someone else as part of that, the causation. It's leadership. It's men stepping up and just saying, this is what I could have done differently and what I will do differently next time. Now, what is it I can do to change my situation? No one else is going to come in and Tinkerbell's going to pop around, sprinkle magic fucking fairy dust over your head, and your life's going to change, and you're going to have a bombshell girlfriend, and your kid's going to be in your custody 100%, and you're going to be bringing in several $1,000s a week. That doesn't just happen. So, unless you're actually doing something to move that needle forward, all that blame is at you. And if that, if guys are hearing that and think, no, fuck you, it was her fault. It was my in-laws. It was, start with what you can do to change your situation, which includes that boundary in communicating with the mom of, I'm not going to take that because I'm just focused on the well-being of our kid. And that's it. You may call me names. I'm not going to call you names. Let's just focus on what's good for little Johnny.
yeah. Yeah. The don't take the bait. Like it's just so you can tell anytime, and I call this kind of, I call it, I have an exercise called standing in your power.
Okay.
And it's really about, I mean, being intentional. So don't start a conversation without a goal in mind. Don't start an action without a goal in mind, right? So like
Yeah.
really, and so that is speaking with intention. And there are words that have to be said to get to get to that goal. And generally, if there's an emotion, if you start to feel an emotion, and and this is back to standing in your power, you're not going to go with that emotion. You're going to hit pause. You're going to pull away. You're going to pull away from that emotion and
Mhm.
stay focused on that goal. So standing in your power is not becoming emotional when she is becoming emotional, and
Yes.
that is leadership. That is continuing to be the foundation that you laid. That is, she can throw a wild ass tantrum, but you're going to stand in your power, and you're not going to allow the emotions to have you chasing rabbits and starting arguments and pulling you in different directions, which is, don't take the bait. That's what she's doing. That's a form, almost always, that is a form of manipulation, whether she knows she's doing it or not. It is a tactic that she's used
It's
thousands
her
of times.
power.
It's her power.
It's how
That,
women maintain controlled or perceived control is she's also paying. So 70% of marriages or relationships with kids end and the woman's leaving. And she's told her friends, family, everyone close enough to her that this person, that partner, the dad, wasn't good enough for the following reasons, and is convinced herself and cut out any good impression she has of you. So each time she does this, she's reinforcing all the negative qualities that you may not have done consistently, but enough for that to be cemented in her psyche and what she shared with others. And she's just proving it, or you're proving it to her when you take that bait and react. And the idea is no one wins when you react emotionally. And if you feel this emotion, just like you said, Michael, is to focus on that goal. And when you said that, I thought of the 7 habits of highly effective people. Stephen
yeah.
Covey talks of habit number 7, I think, is begin with the end in mind, or maybe it should be number 1, but it's one of the 7, which is begin with the end in mind. If you know what you're doing to get what result, you know what needs to happen. For example, I got to feed my kid in 30 minutes before I take him to soccer practice. You get supper done always, right? It's not hard. Every dad gets it done because it has to happen. And then to get your kid out there, so change that, change your thinking to before you respond, before you react, is there emotion? If there is emotion, negative emotion, anger, frustration, pause. And even if it's on a phone call, to just be open about that and say, listen, you know what? I'm feeling a bit angry or frustrated, and I don't think I'll be my best in responding or continuing this conversation. Let me message you back instead tomorrow or later today. Just
Yeah,
being fully
that's excellent.
transparent. Like, just, okay, full stop. This isn't working for me. I'm going to respond back to you about how whoever takes little Johnny to the doctor's appointment. And then in that time, you can calm down. You can ignore the you never take him. You always drop the ball. It's always me. It's not.
See, to me, honestly, and anybody listening to this, if you read those messages and you respond emotionally, you're weak. If you, I'm sorry, like if that tiny little insult or that tiny little rub makes you react, that's the reason she's your ex. Because, I mean, come on. That is childish little stuff. And she throws that out there to make you chase rabbits. Here's the goal, right? You're on your way to the goal, and but she wants this goal over here. You're on your way to getting your way, but then she drops in some tiny little insult, and oh shit, now you're all over. Now you're and all along, all she was trying to do was get your mind to lose focus, to lose focus, and now you're not going to get your way, and nothing is going to change. And all along, I mean, that's what she was doing. That, just blaming you for something real quick because you're going to emotionally react. Nothing changes, which is what she wanted, and it just takes, I call it standing in your power, being a a I just, to me it's emotionally weak if someone can just drop an insult, you know, unless they're,
It's hard to catch yourself though because it's reactive.
I don't
It's
know, hold on. You made me think of a good friend of mine was telling me this story. God, he may watch this. So I don't, I'm just going to tell it. Like, he got on some medication and he was talking about his life, all the stuff he's trying to do. And then he was like, yeah, I went and got on some medication. And then I just, he was asking me, and there was a big long pause. I just went quiet. And I just was like, well, I hope that works out for you. And then he goes, man, why do you always do that? And I was like, do what? He's like, why do you always do that? And it's like, he goes, sometimes you'll just take these really long pauses. You don't say anything, and then your voice is different. And then you give me just this short answer. And I've been telling you all of this stuff. You give me this short answer. And I'm like, I said, well, you don't want to know what I'm really thinking. And he's like, what? What are you really thinking? And I'm like, dude, I can't tell you what I'm really thinking because I we're friends and it's going to bother you. And he's like, no, tell me. And I go, well, when you told me you're going to go take medication as some kind of cure for this, my first thought was you're being a weak ass little bitch. And that is a little pussy move. And you need to man up and actually do the work and deal with it. You're trying to find some kind of easy out, and it's bullshit. And so that was my first thought. That was me not standing in my power. That was me having an emotional reaction. And all I want to do is bring value to the people I love. So all I said was, well, I hope that works out for you, because that was the most positive thing I could come up with. It and as a result, he and we took a long break from talk. We haven't talked as much because what do you think? I don't know. When you hear that,
it's I've got I think you and I've shared the challenge with one person who I've had conversations with where it's the same thing. He's in a tough place, but he's not really doing the things to help him to to be better, whether it's the exercise, putting down his phone, being open and honest in his currently failing relationship, and once a plan on what to do next, but hasn't taken the steps. And this conversation's been ongoing for over 2 years. Like it's we're going around in circles, and I bite my tongue because there's you have to come to a place of a high enough level of pain where you want to change. And I have a really hard time with being able to balance that of being able to give the advice they need and biting my tongue, or just being an ear to listen. But I know they're coming to me for advice. I know he's coming to me for advice, and it's asking for support to have regular calls to check in because he wants to start moving in this direction, and we'll talk about it, and then just stops. And then I
I'm
don't hear from him for a while, and then it starts up again.
I I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's, you know what I tell them is, I talk about relief versus resolution. I have all the resolution, got the whole plan, the whole package. It's waiting for you to act. You're
Yes.
calling me for a little bit of emotional relief, which is therapy, which is not what I do. But I've gotten to where it's like, oh, I either tell them I'm not going to talk to you about this, or is this a relief call? Because I'm gonna bill you.
Mm.
Is this a relief call or a resolution call?
That's a really good frame. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm going to
It's
charge
one or the
you.
other. Like, it can't be both. It's
It
one
can
or the other.
it can
Yeah.
be both. You can
Relief,
say
resolution.
if you're just calling to vent, this is a relief call. Give me $20 or let's talk about football, right? I'm still your friend,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
this is annoying. I don't like doing it. I want to take action. If you want resolution, let's get started on that. This is what I'm waiting on. Let's take the reaction. Let's take the action. But if you want relief, okay, fine. Bill me or call a therapist or call your mom because, real men take action and make the changes.
And it's hard. And I'm flawed. There's things that I'm doing that aren't optimal for say my well-being, but on a macro level, all things considered, I am constantly improving, and that's something I try to leave everybody I work with, whether it's in consulting or it's in coaching, is one thing. What's that one thing tomorrow you can do to make your life better so you can be a better dad and feel better and be happier? Because all I'm hearing is my life sucks. I'm not making what I want to. My ex-wife's making my life miserable. I don't get to see my kids. The world's against me.
But
But the
then you
consultant's
stop
there.
them, then you stop them and you go, tell me what you want. And you get like, oh, you can see through that. It's supposed to be a blank piece of paper. Yeah. It's like, what do you want? I don't know. I want all this to end, all this bad shit to end, but it's not going to end until you define what you want and you start working towards it. If you don't know what you want and you're not working towards a goal, you're going to accidentally be working towards everyone else's goals. They're
That's
just
right.
going to pull
It's
on
got to
you.
be defined. It has to be written down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's on the coaching and consulting side. That's exactly what I do. What would your life look like 12 months from now? So if it's business, it's a CEO, revenue, the state of their company. Personally, it's what does that look like? Like, are you now you own a place instead of renting? You've got peaceful communication with the mom. So it's the health, wealth, relationships, personal development. Those are the four baskets I try to get them to define it in. So what does that look like? And let's be ambitious. If in business, it's more of the let's be ambitious, like where you want to go. Because with the I can help companies move fast in that space, but personally for men, it's got to be more realistic. It's got to be what does that look like in 12 months? Are you making a bit more? Did you get that promotion? Did you change jobs? Are you starting to date? Do you feel healthy? Relationship with yourself? Do you recognize where you went wrong in the past? Do you have a better co-parenting relationship? Do you have better communication with your kids? So health, well, health.
Yeah.
5 walks a week, 30 minutes. That's like if there is the greatest thing you can do for your cardiovascular and mental health is 5 brisk walks a week at 30 minutes. That's not hard. Throw in music, throw in a podcast, take a call on there, walk to work, lunch break, something like that's not hard. Or can you do 25 push-ups a day? 5 push-ups, like pick
Yeah.
one thing, do something. And then personal development, like everybody wants to be able to learn more, to see more, to experience. What can you do to take that in? Like read a book. Can you do 5 pages a day? Like 5 pages.
Yeah. Don't take the bait. So it it's easier to not take the bait. It's easier to recognize the manipulation when you do have goals, when you are executing a plan. It's like, I have this plan and you're sending attractive bullshit my way. If you don't have a plan or goals, you have no reason not to pay attention to it. You're just like, boom, you're taking the bait, whether it's
That's your higher power because you are so focused on becoming a better person. So whether you've got you're spiritual, you're religious, you've got a higher power, that should become your guiding light, your higher power of that's okay, that doesn't bug me.
Well,
I,
higher power and higher purpose, you know.
yes,
If your purpose
yes,
aligns, that's great. If it don't, you still need a purpose. You're like, uh,
yes,
and
higher, yes, higher, yes, 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 yes. And I love the little nuggets that you share where it's just that paradigm shift of what is that? If guys can wake out, it's your why. Simon
yeah,
Sinek, it starts with why. What's your why? Why do you wake up in the day? You may go to a 9 to 5 that you hate, but if you look at it with I hate my job, you're going to be more miserable. If you're counting down till Friday afternoon, that's a shitty way to live life. But if you look at it as I'm grateful I'm employed, I get to go to work, I earn a paycheck so I can provide for my kids because I provide. That is my purpose, to be able to
yeah.
provide, raise,
If you hate
protect my kids to be better humans.
if you hate your job, you should focus on the money because that's the end result. And there should be a portion of that money that is reserved for success, like success outside of your day-to-day shit. Like I don't know how to live without it, some kind of side hustle, or I don't know how any if you hate your job though, you're using that, just focus on the money, chop it up, and just it's just money. Usually the things you hate about your job are the people and or it's taking you, but if you know that every time you get that paycheck, you're stacking up, you're building your little stack because when it gets to here, you've got a plan. Boom, you're
Yes.
going to implement it. So then it's really all about money anyway. It should be your job. If you're working a job, unless you're doing what you love, that's different. But if you're doing what you love, then the money don't matter. If it's just a job, it should just be about the money. Just get
It's
you
I
know,
don't care what
unless
anyone
you're old,
says.
maybe if you're older in life, you know, I'm going to work till I die. I know that, but I'm going to be doing work that with people I like and something that I enjoy. So, but in the meantime, like the vast majority of your life, if you hate your job, it's a means to a successful end. Then you're just go and get the check and be happy about it. And if you truly hate it, get a different job.
That's
You know,
and that's what it comes down to. And money is, I don't care what anyone says, until you have sufficient money to not have to worry about it, money is everything. Financial scarcity is the worst place to be because you need that job. You can't leave it. And if you've accumulated debt or the shitty court system, just the way legislation is, where the usually that income earner, if you had a stay-at-home mom and that dad is now living with nothing for himself and has to provide everything to the other parent. That's a horrible place to be. But even if you're an artist and do what you love, you have to live within your means.
yeah,
And you can design it if you live within your means. And same with you, Michael. I'm going to work until the end because I love what I get to do and what I've done. I've worked so fucking hard the last couple of years, 3 years, and figuring that out. But what I've done and am doing is to bring in people that can do the work I don't want to do so I can focus on the high level stuff that lights me up. Like
yeah.
it lights me up to solve problems, whether it's for dads, whether it's for businesses or governments. I love it. And it's designing that. That's my purpose. And knowing I get to wake up and do that and work with incredible people, I couldn't ask for anything more.
Doesn't feel like work anymore.
No, no.
Yeah, yeah,
To a degree, right? I'm sugarcoating it a bit. It's still work. And I'm not at that point where it's everything takes work, but you need purpose, you need a plan, and you need the resources to create it. And to have the resources, whether it's time, energy, money, you need to be able to set stuff aside or create more. So the side hustle could be gardening. If you love gardening, it's a hobby, and but that lights you up. Nice, go do it.
no
Or
doubt.
you do something to earn more to be able to buy a house or to be able to take your kids on a vacation or for yourself to go on vacation. Do something and have that focus because when you're actually driven and have that purpose, everything else is less distracting. You don't get
And
baited and
you
caught
don't
into
take
that conversation.
you don't take the bait because you don't have capacity for it.
Yes.
You don't. So with my son's mom, um, she don't even try anymore. It's nice. She don't even try. And she won't even, if I send her a message trying to get something from her, she won't respond. Um, because the emotional tricks don't work. Once you recognize them, it's guilt, sorrow,
Yes.
sex, anger, um, guilt, sorrow, sex, anger, shit. I, I just drew a blank. There's five key emotions
Sadness.
sorry. Did I say
So,
sorrow? Did I say
can't remember.
sorrow? Guilt,
Then
sorrow, anger,
shame.
sex, jealousy, jealousy.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Also
yeah.
lower vibrational energies, all
Yeah,
the
those seem to be the main five. Guilt, sorrow, anger, sex, jealousy are the main five that they're leveraging. And maybe that's just the people I've been dealing with my whole life, but it's those five emotions, one way or the other, what they'll start getting you off track. And
yes.
once you recognize that and you feel it, because at first you just go with it and they you take the bait. But if you feel like, oh shit, I'm having an an emotion, I'm feeling jealousy in the car, like that's standing in your power. I'm starting to get angry. Nope. Oh, she's trying to turn me on. She's trying to use her cleavage and she's talking
Yep.
dirty. Nope, not doing that. Like as soon as you can identify
And
that,
everything you said, this is what guys refer to as manipulation. And
yeah,
it's influence. It is influence. That is their power. They're able to do it. And my kid's mom throws out these things. Last recently it was trying to guilt me on something. And I fact checked it with the other kid's parent without getting into the story. And they're like, yeah, no,
yeah.
that's not true. But she just tries to randomly I get these types of messages or conversations where she's trying to just bring me
If you
down in
can,
some way, and I
yeah,
realized that's on her. It's her unhappy trying to bring me down. And at first I feel I'm like, oh, you take it as for face value, and then as I process and realize, wait a minute, that's not true, and then
yeah,
confirmed it with
you're gonna feel it, but
yes,
that's the key to know what's going on. It's all about how you respond.
yes, yes, yeah,
It- You're going to feel it. You're going to feel the anger, but you're not going to respond with anger, which is what they're trying to get you to do.
yeah.
So you're going to feel sadness, but you're not going to respond to, they can turn them tears on. They can turn them on and turn them off. It's just you're not going to allow that emotion to craft your response for you. I call it standing in your power, staying strong. Um,
And on the other hand, so just the same way you would parent or deal with an employee, my ex-wife is also supportive in how we co-parent. And I will always try to point that out and acknowledge it and express gratitude for it because I want to reinforce that behavior. And I
absolutely.
don't put energy into the negative stuff. I just ignore it. And
Yeah.
unless it's got to be stopped and establish a boundary because it's repetitive, then I'll call it out in a very objective, diplomatic way without no pointing, no name calling,
Yeah.
no saying you do this all the time and this is how it makes me feel. No, this has happened, and that's a more complex conversation we should share another time. But on the other hand, it's I really appreciate you supporting me in this or being flexible or just being more human and
The
establishing that.
minute the minute you can do that, you elevate yourself to the top 85, 90% of men, just like that. And and you instantly start garnering respect. It's just like when a woman knows that she can push your buttons,
Mm,
like she's not going to respect you. You feel like a weak man to her because she can just, whether it's flashing titties, whether it's trying to piss you off or make you jealous,
mhm.
that's just different button pushing, and that keeps her in control. And if she knows I can I can leverage his emotions to control him, she she's never
You're
going to fully
done.
respect you.
And the same play applies with colleagues, competitive colleagues or a shitty boss at work. Same
Yeah,
thing. It applies everywhere.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, establishing those boundaries.
Yeah,
And I
you don't want to work in an environment where the management is using emotions to get you to, you know, yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, man. It's 8 o'clock. So here in Dallas, it's 8 o'clock. So let's wrap it up. Any last thing to say about don't take the bait?
guys, this is a big conversation. Thing is, don't show weakness. Remain professional, be stoic, don't show those emotions, and stop the conversation when it gets out of hand and focus on, as Michael said, the outcome. What is it you're trying to achieve in the conversation? That's it.
Yeah.
And share in the comments what you got out of it, what challenges you have, what questions weren't answered, so then we can double down on that. But do something for yourself to make yourself better, so you're more focused on yourself so that you can lead better, lead yourself, lead your kids, lead your ex-wife or the mother of your children. That's
I
what's
would, yeah,
leadership.
I would say, and I talk about this in my book and in that the lesson, the manipulation, become a guy who can recognize those five emotions: anger, sorrow or sadness, uh, sex, guilt. Damn it. Why do I always forget the last one?
Remorse.
It's the least impactful. It doesn't matter. Once the conversation becomes emotional and you feel an emotional reaction coming, don't react there. Don't respond from that emotional place. And once you become that, you really will elevate yourself from the crowd of people who are just emotionally, to me, it's like dogs barking,
It is. You've lost. If you're responding with emotion, you've lost. And if you can catch yourself, start again, take a step back and say, okay, let me do this again. Just like you're
Yeah,
recording a video and start again or end the conversation and come back later.
yeah.
But you've lost if you're responding with emotion.
All right, buddy. Well, I'll see you next week.
Yeah, good talk. Okay, take care, everybody.
All right, later.